Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Welcome to What Were We Just Talking About? This is our third show, and we are going to have a expansion of our format. What does that mean? Well, we are Google, what's the word for it? Google hanging out. We're using Google Hangouts. And we have Marcia Blount of the Brownie Democratic Club, who has joined us in Google Hangouts.
Hi.
And we're hoping to have Don Duncan from Americans for Safe Access also on, just to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Capitol. We have our producer and my great pal and companion, WiseKraft. Say hello.
Hello, hello.
Later in the show, he'll be doing his Paranoya Place, and we'll learn what catastrophic catastrophe we need to worry about in the next couple weeks coming up. Also in the chess lounge with us is Cannabis, as I like to call her. Good friend of mine, Jan Daly. Say hello, Jan.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Good.
Doing awesome.
Awesome. And Jan's just a great cannabis activist and fan and friend, and so she decided to join in, see if there's anything she wants to add to the conversation. So let's see. I actually have notes this time because I felt I wandered a little too much, which is a nice segue to our first new segment, which I call Apologies. And that's where I apologize for things that happened in the last show. Last show, as we encouraged everybody to comment and interact and ask questions, we didn't see them. And that was a technical problem that didn't get worked out till the end. But I think we worked it out. So I want everybody to make sure that even if you asked questions last time, and like a therapeutic alternative wanted to give a shout out to Dr. Molly Fry, and we totally missed that, and there were some others. So I sent the link. I hope a therapeutic alternatives tuned in. I am going to give a shout out. WiseKraft, what are we smoking today?
It is Cherry Cadillac. It is a THCA at 16.93%.
And that was from Therapeutic Alternative, one of our favorite community clubs downtown. If you are a licensed patient, you can go there and enjoy an entire array of cannabis medicinal products. They're at 3015 H Street. That's downtown in the Medical District, right near not Southside Park, right near McKinley Park. Great spot. There with their security guard is notorious for hugging you. And if anybody knows me, I'm usually kind of grumpy about some of the security guards, like either not recognizing who I am or just being kind of mean. I actually had a security guard at a club yell at me for playing NPR too loudly in my car with the window rolled up, which I thought was ridiculous. It wasn't thumping music. So anyways, yes. So their security guard's great, and we have wandered off as usual, so back to the notes. There's some great news in the marijuana community. The inevitable demise of Michelle Lionheart, the DEA head who liked to get in front of the judiciary committees and repeat like a robot. She would say, marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug. Marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug. And no brain there. Apparently she wasn't doing a good job of managing the boys and their little parties, so she got in trouble with. So the new DEA head, his name is Chuck. Do you remember his name, Marcia? Chuck.
I'm sorry.
I just don't have all my notes up. If you guys are looking at my, can they see my Google Plus? Okay.
Let me put it on screen.
I was just reading all this. It's just we've been smoking this wonderful medicine from Chuck from ATA. Chuck Rosenberg is the new. He's a former FBI director, and now he is going to be the new DEA head. He apparently did make a comment in the LA Times that seems what do you call it? It's a statement that sounds good, but it's not anything we can grab onto. He basically says, where's the quote? I had it. It's right at the beginning.
Always happens.
She'll focus less on marijuana enforcement and more on heroin and other major drugs. And I don't think he said it. It was a senior official. So that's the first little leak we got out. I think High Times Magazine grabbed onto it, and I ended up seeing it on Facebook and tracing it to the LA Times article. That's kind of my little federal announcement. We're going to talk a little bit about stuff going on in the Capitol, hopefully later when Don Duncan comes on. And we're also going to be talking about the Democratic Party with Marcia Blount, who is the president of Brownie Mary Democratic Club in Sacramento County. The Brownie Mary Democratic Club, founded by Lanny Swerdlow, is growing. They have a San Francisco chapter. I was actually heard about something on the news. The San Francisco chapter did like a gun buyback program. Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't. That's great.
Yeah. So we're seeing some great things coming out of this, and of kind of being a rudder to steer the Democratic Party left on the marijuana issue. I think it's important that we show them that we know how to be in the political realm, and we can be a benefit to them. So before we bust into the Brownie Mary Dems, I was going to talk a little bit about the Blue Ribbon Commission. How far did you get in that, Marcia?
About halfway through. Some of the people in the audience really said stupid things like marijuana is garbage. You know, that's really helpful.
Right. Actually, I did take some notes, and it started off real dry, a little yawn, little snooze fest, and then that where is it here? Mr. Peter. Their names weren't up there, but they were on the little cards. It looked like it was Banys, B-A-N-Y-S. He said some really awesome stuff. He called cannabis cannabis users as targets by police as low-hanging fruit, meaning the police are being lazy and going after cannabis users because of drug law rather than actually going after real drug offenders. I thought that was interesting. He wanted to see a shift in the classification of drugs and have hard drugs and soft drugs and not them all lumped together. And he called the war on drugs absurd, which our stoner translator would say, what? Uncool. Yeah, the war on drugs is pretty uncool. Then there was the 40% lady. She was like, marijuana's stronger, it's 40% sometimes, blah, 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 blah. Like, we don't know how strong our weed is. How strong is the weed we have today?
It's awesome.
What percent?
What percent? Like, it goes all the way up. Like, are you talking about flour?
Yeah, that flour right there.
Oh, this one here is 16.93.
16%.
Yeah, but that's THCA. If you take the
but how much THC?
Probably about 15.
Okay. 50%. So this woman's saying 40%. And then there's some other guy coming in talking about buying, people lining up to buy from dispensaries and giving it to children.
Well,
Show me the video, okay? In this day and age, you can't say something happens a lot unless you got some sort of evidence. And then my favorite is the endearing Reverend Ron Allen. Have you guys? Hey, Marcia, have you ever heard my Ron Allen imitation?
No.
He gets really shrill, as you heard, and then he gets higher and higher. I won't do the whole imitation on here because it's kind of annoying. But then he ends it with this expletive, trying to show how ironic, I guess it is. Isn't that amazing? Like it's one word, real fast. Isn't that amazing? Crazy. So he went on his rant. And everybody just listened, and they didn't even address the crowd, so I thought that was cool. And then they moved on and tried to have the logical discussion. The drug dealer re-education guy was interesting. He wants to apparently create some sort of job corps for drug dealers so they learn other jobs, because he fears marijuana moving into the mainstream will leave a lot of marijuana dealers to go to harder drugs to start dealing. I don't know. It just seemed like a lot of misinformation in the crowd. I didn't get a chance to finish it because we had to come on now. But if you guys want to watch it, I linked it on the Facebook of what were we just talking about. That's facebook.com/www.jta. And you can see, I'm going to put links there. I think WiseKraft is going to put, you can't put links in the comments, but we'll make sure the links are out there. One complaint, and I will mirror my friend, we wrote a newsletter together, David Fielder, and he'd written an article, and I thought he was a little hard on them about their website, which is safe something or other here.
I could put it on my the event page.
Yeah, put it on the event page.
What is it again?
So anyway, safeandsmartpolicy.org. Just as it sounds, all run together, no underscores. Safeandsmartpolicy.org. Originally, you could go on and you could join, and then you could comment, and there was very few comments. I was trying to get people in, but it's not on the website anymore. So I don't know what's going on there, but you could go on there, and there's supposed to be a report coming from them in June. And today they're in Humboldt. Is that right, Marcia? Do you remember?
They were talking about going to Humboldt and Reading, but I don't know.
Right, Reading's coming up, or no, it's not Reading. Well, maybe Reading too, but the last one on their website was Fresno's coming up. Here, let me just pull up their website really quick so we're not speculating.
While you're doing that,
all this information is available on their site. If you're interested or you live in these towns, we could use more people commenting than these. It reminded me of Parks and Recreation. I don't know if you ever watched that. It's just this rabble of just crazy people not even really knowing the topic. So it looks like today. Upcoming events for the Blue Ribbon Commission, which is going to be California State University in Fresno, North Gym Assembly Room, and that's on June 3rd. And there was one today, I'm sure of it, because I was talking to Ellen Kopp from California Normal, and she was going up there, and I think it was for this, but I cannot find it. If it is, the video is not available yet. And you can go on YouTube and type Blue Ribbon Commission Marijuana, and all the videos are there, and you could watch them. I couldn't really make them any more interesting than that, but we're going to, so that was kind of it. And then
Don just joined.
Sorry?
Don is
Oh,
John?
Don is
Don Duncan.
Yeah.
Okay, let me. How come he's not showing on my little screen here?
I see him.
Okay, well, maybe this is frozen or something.
Hi, Don.
Hi.
How you doing, Don?
Hello. Thanks so much for having me.
That's no good.
He can hear you.
Something's happening here. Okay.
He said thanks so much for having him.
Okay, well, I gotta be able to hear Don. Hold on a second here.
Hello. Testing. Testing.
I can hear Marshall. Why can't I hear Don?
I have no idea.
And he's on the Google.
If you guys can hear me, I think I'm downloading software right now.
I guess, what is it you call it? Getting scroogled?
Yeah, that's what I call it.
When Google doesn't apparently do what it pretends like it's going to do. Yeah, I still have no sign of Don Duncan. Is there a way we can put him on a speaker?
You can go out and come back in.
Okay. Don, why don't you introduce yourself? I'm going to try to log out and log back in, and you talk for a minute, and I'll try to hear you somehow.
Well, hello. Thanks, Ron. I hope you guys are hearing me. I'm not sure if we're having some technical difficulties or not, but it's wonderful to be here. Thanks so much for having me on the broadcast. And boy, what an exciting time we're having in California. If Ron didn't say it before I jumped on, I'm the California Director of Americans for Safe Access, the nation's largest medical cannabis patient advocacy organization. And my job as California Director right now is to track all of the bills that are moving through the state legislature.
Plug into this.
Don, are you still talking?
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry. I had a little bit of a technical glitch there. Are you able to hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So I'm sorry. I didn't know if we had dropped off or not. So part of what I'm doing, as I said, is tracking legislation going through the state legislature right now. And there is a ton of it. I have never seen a time when there were so many medical cannabis bills pending in the state legislature. At one point...
Uh-oh. We lost
No,
Don.
we lost him. What the heck?
What? Well,
I heard you lose him.
He's gone.
He went black. Oh, yeah, there you go. He probably called out again.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. Okay, am I coming through then?
Now,
My
idea
of doing this through the phone was a really bad one. My phone's frozen up again. It's frozen on
Turn your
my
mic.
face.
So anyways,
What?
Turn your mic.
What?
okay, you know what? I'm just gonna turn the phone off. I'm gonna plug me into that splitter right there, and I'm just gonna come through on the podcast. I'm not gonna be dialed in separately because apparently Android can't keep up.
Apparently Android.
So
It's still going.
what?
Turn it off.
I thought I did. Okay.
It's Don. Don's back.
Don, are you back?
He's back.
Don, are you back?
Hello, I'm back. Yes. Can you guys hear me okay now?
I can hear you fine.
All right, that's great. I'm so sorry. I was having some technical difficulties there.
As long as it wasn't my fault.
Who knows? Well, thanks so much for having me back, and I'm not sure where we dropped off there.
You were saying there was a lot of legislative bills, and then it just kind of dropped right there.
Right. All right,
Got
so
it
we did
early on.
come off that. Well, that's great. Well, at one point there were 20 different bills, and these were dealing with commercial licensing and regulations for medical cannabis cultivation. They were dealing with environmental standards, concentrates, vaporizers, sales tax. And the herd has been thinning a little bit, but we still have a lot on our plate. We've got about 12 bills left. And I think
today we had what? Uber drivers don't get tested, right? Is that what happened today?
Apparently the Uber drivers are still okay.
So yeah, when your Uber driver comes, they won't be having road rage.
Exactly. They'll be much more relaxed.
Okay, so I was reading a bunch of stuff from yesterday. Can you explain that to us real quick? There's two real important bills that are going to be asked to merge, right?
That's right, yeah. This is actually a very unusual thing that's happened. We had two competing licensing and regulation bills in California, one that was sponsored by law enforcement, and one that was more amenable to industry. And what's happened in a very rare turn of events is that these two bills are now merging. In the Appropriations Committee, they amended both bills to be identical now, and so now we're just moving forward with one bill. And just to confuse things even more, the authors of the bill numbers are switching. And so AB 266, which was formerly a bill by Assemblymember Cooley, is now a bill by Assemblymember Bonta. And the two bills have been merged. It includes provisions of both. The final language will be published on Tuesday of next week. And this is sort of the what I call the Lord of the Rings approach to medical cannabis regulation, because now all of the competing bills seem to be merged into a single bill to move through the legislative process. One bill to rule them all. And so I think that's really a good step for clarity.
So, to sum that up, cool or uncool? To sum that up, is that cool or uncool?
I think that's cool. I think that's cool because now we have one vehicle to work on, and that's so much easier than being distracted and divided into different camps supporting different legislation.
Was there anything in this merge bill that sticks out that you're real worried about?
Say that again.
Really think that must change?
Oh, in the bill, you mean? I think that I'm really concerned about two aspects of this bill, and again, we haven't seen the final language, so there may be more to worry about later. But what I'm worried about are the suitability issues, that is, the restriction on whether or not people who have felony convictions can be licensed in the medical cannabis industry. And we really want to make sure we soften that language because some people got felonies just for trying to do right, and so we want to make sure they're not excluded from the cannabis industry. I'm also very concerned on restrictions on the number of licenses people can hold, because as the bill reads now, you can't both cultivate and distribute medical cannabis, and a lot of people are already doing both successfully. So we don't want to cut those people out or force them to sell off or close down part of their organization or their business just because that's the way they do it with alcohol. And that's really the justification right now, is they're trying to model that licensing requirement on alcohol. And cannabis is different from alcohol. And we've evolved along a different path. So I'd like to see that come out of the bill as well.
So you said that Bonta, that's an assembly member?
That's right, Assemblymember Bonta. He's from the East Bay of the San Francisco area, and he's a really strong Democrat supporter of medical cannabis. He's got a flawless voting record, and so he's really a good shepherd for us to take this bill.
So Bonta cool?
Bonta is cool, yes.
What about Cooley?
I have to say, in the spirit of cooperation and making it happen, I'm going to say Cooley is cool too.
Cooley's cool, okay. Not to be confused with the uncool Cooley of the old Attorney General race, right?
That's right. There was a not Cooley. That was
Cooley altogether.
No, Assemblymember Cooley is fighting the good fight this year, and good for him.
So I'm trying to pull up the graphic here. We're going to talk about. Oh, I'm getting confused. I'm trying to watch the video, and you're still talking in the video. It's got that delay. I gotta not look at that particular screen. I'm going to pull up. If you can, pull up that graphic. If you can find a version of it without the other logo on there for the lobby day that's coming up. If people are wondering how they can affect these people, regardless of whether you trim weed, grow weed, transport weed, smoke weed, vape weed, if you work with weed or if weed is transformative in your life, these bills in these people, these kind-hearted people in the Capitol are going to be making decisions that affect you. And one of the ways you can affect the decisions that affect you is lobbying. And I don't think we need to explain what lobbying is. It's, it's talking to people. It's trying to get them to understand your experience. And I have to say I've spent some time listening to, I heard Cooley talk, and I was really surprised at his desire to have the cannabis community accept his bill and saying, hey, I'm not perfect. I'm not an expert in this field, and I'm open to discussion. Please come talk to me. And tell me what it is you need. And so they're admitting that they don't know everything it is and how it impacts us. We got to tell them, and we got to tell them in a good, professional and united voice, and so it can affect the law. So lobbying is the way to go on that. And if you're just a citizen, you can't just go in and lobby people's office. But they do have a lobby day, and ASA's got one coming up. You want to go ahead and take over on that?
Well, Ron, you said citizens can go lobby on their own.
Oh, of course, if you could just go to the Capitol today and go lobby, it is allowed. But you know what? A lot of people don't, because the system isn't really set up to facilitate it. Nobody showed up at the Capitol and like, I want to talk to somebody. No one's there to help you do it. No one's there to help you make an appointment, to find the right person, etc. But that's where Americans for Safe Access comes in, because we're going to see to it when you sign up for a California Citizen Lobby Day on June 14th and 15th, we're going to go to the people with whom we have relationships already in these offices, and we're going to set up an appointment for you to see your state assembly member and your senator. You have one of each in California, no matter where you live. You have a state assembly member and a senator. We're going to make an appointment for you and everyone else from your district to go in and sit down with that lawmaker or someone in their office and talk about medical cannabis. And believe it or not, they do want to hear what you have to say. First of all, it's their job to listen to you because you live in the district. But also, they don't know anything about this issue. And unlike a lot of what they're dealing with, it's really fascinating to them. They're really fascinated by medical cannabis and by people who use it in the process. They're really just sponges soaking up information. And research has shown that individual visits from citizens who live in the district are 6 times more influential for lawmakers than visits from paid lobbyists. And so this makes a big difference. I'll tell you a very concrete example of that is that last year on our lobby day, this will be our 4th annual lobby day, and last year we went in and we were talking to everyone, all 120 lawmakers, about the need for an organ transplant bill to see to it that people who are lawfully using medical cannabis aren't denied an organ transplant just because they use cannabis. Believe it or not, that's the state of the law right now. And 2 of our members went into Mark Levine's office and they dropped off a fact sheet and told him this was an important thing. And a year later, he called us back and said, hey, somebody left this thing at my office about organ transplants. What's the story and what can I do to help? And this year, Mark Levine is authoring a bill to protect patients, and he's going to save lives. And that happened because 2 citizens went in with 1 piece of paper and made a difference in the assembly member's office.
Right, and that law, I think, is something that just nobody knew it existed. I think probably most of the people that will end up voting on it are like, wow, I'm surprised that this is the case, that you can't get a transplant, or at least it's the hospital's choice to deny you a transplant if they find cannabinoids in your blood.
Absolutely, and that include those policies predate medical cannabis. It's the old policy where all cannabis use was illegal, and the thinking is, oh, well, if you're an illegal drug user, there's probably somebody else who would live longer with that organ, and people died, and that's how I became aware of this, is one of our members died. He got dropped off the list, and they said, come back in 6 months. So he went off medical cannabis, his numbers went bad, and he died before he could get back on the list. Since then, I've met many more people in the same situation, including a very good friend of mine in Los Angeles, Yami Bolanos, who may die if this bill doesn't pass. She's an organ transplant survivor. She's coming up to her retransplant date because transplanted organs don't last forever. And if this bill doesn't pass, she won't get it. She's not eligible for a retransplant. So that's a really serious situation.
For this bill, right?
What's that?
It looks good for this bill, right, as far as passing?
Once people realize what's happening, they really do get behind this. In the state assembly, 80 lawmakers voted on this, and only 12 voted no. So that bodes really well for the Senate. We've got to go to the Senate, get through the Senate, and then we have to get the governor's signature. And that's a big part of what we'll be working on the lobby day, June 14th and 15th. And by the way, if you'd like to register, and you do need to register in advance for this, go to CaliforniaCitizenLobbyDay.org. That's CaliforniaCitizenLobbyDay.org, and that's where you can sign up for this event, and we'll get you those appointments made. So sign up well in advance, so I have lots of time to get those folks on the phone and make a time for you.
And we'll be putting that link up on our various social medias too, to make that easier. Well, I really applaud what you're doing. I think I went to the last couple lobby days and was able to go into the illustrious Capitol offices and talk. And I think even when you just get a staff member, though, the human interaction really is much more than a letter or even a phone call. But letters and phone calls are also extremely, integral to this process.
So I need to hear from you.
And then I wanted to segue, and I want you to hang out if you can, Don. If you got work to do, I totally understand. I was going to segue from your upcoming lobby day. I just wanted to touch on, did you go to the, I don't think I saw you there, at the CCIA had a kind of a lobby event for their membership, and I was able to go, and I was kind of fascinated, but they have really, close relationships with some of the politicians, and they come in and they'll talk to the owners of these businesses, and it's kind of just like any business association. I thought that was a pretty powerful thing, and I think they had some impact on the vape bill. That again, people don't really know what a impaired person looks like, and I think how everything played out there, they saw somebody who's clearly not impaired who was testing as impaired, and I think that helped, and I think that's a lot of what we deal with here.
What movements and industries do, and so it's really important that we do this too, because we need to be seen doing what people in the state capitol do. So unions, industry, teachers, environmental movements, they all have these lobby days, and the more people we can pack in the capitol, the bigger impact we have.
Yes, awesome.
And a word about staff. Never fear meeting with staff, because staff make the world go round in Sacramento, and when that lawmaker wants to decide what to do on an issue, they won't necessarily call me, but they will talk to their staff. And so if you win the staff, you usually win the lawmaker.
And winning the lawmakers is cool. So I want to give you a nickname like Dapper Don or something like that. What do you think?
Awesome, Ron. I'll try to think of
like that. Now, well, we usually open the segments with our guests, ask them what they're smoking, but we know that you're busy working, so you're not smoking. We are going to move over to our next guest. Can you click on Marcia now? Can you make her show up? Hi, Marcia.
Hi, guys.
How are you doing? Did you say hi to Don?
Hi, Don.
Hi.
I'm smoking a Bang vape pen that has green crack in it today.
Green crack. That's high functioning, and that's Bang, BHANG. You may have had their chocolate bars, and they have vape pens now.
Yes, they
you
have.
Probably got that at ATA, right?
Cartridges, yes. Here.
ATA, yeah. Shout out to ATA again. This isn't any kind of favoritism. It's just where a lot of people go.
That's where I got it.
WiseKraft, our producer, he works there. So I want to start before we go in. I gotta encourage you to go to your Google Plus, Marcia, and change that photo. You look so much more lovely now than that photo.
Well, use me live. I'm live.
You are live. I know. And we are using you live. I'm just saying, you should get one of those better pictures that we took.
Okay, I'll put a new picture on Google. All right.
I wanted to talk a bit. Now, I of course know about Brownie Mary because I'm the vice president and I've been there from the beginning, and I love Brownie Mary. I'm going to real quick tell everybody, Brownie Mary, the person, was in San Francisco. During the AIDS crisis, she was baking brownies and taken to the hospital, and she was harassed by law enforcement and put in court and so forth. And great people like Dennis Perrone and others helped battle for her. She's now no longer with us. But Brownie Mary's been an inspiration to us all, and Brownie Mary Democratic Club has used her name for their club. It was founded by Lanny Swerdlow a couple years ago now. Is it 2 years?
Yep. It's been 2013 sometime in that.
Okay,
yeah.
And then, so now how many chapters are there now?
There's 6 chapters now. Los Angeles has 2 or 3 chapters, and there's one in San Francisco and one in Alameda, and then one in Riverside, which is the original one that Lanny founded. And then Sacramento was actually the second one after Lanny.
Okay. Now I'm gonna ask you some questions real quick here.
All right.
So are Democrats cool?
Yes. For the most part, Democrats are cool. Even Dianne Feinstein just voted, a couple days ago to allow vets to use cannabis in states where it's legal for them to get it.
And that's a stoner translation of Dianne Feinstein wants vets to be able to get high. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
anyway,
we think Democrats are cool. You and I collaborated on a whole article on a bunch of reasons why Democrats are cool.
Yes.
And that's on your website, right? What's the website?
Website is bmdc of sackcounty.org. bmdcofsacccounty.org.
And some of the reasons we listed were their official platform. It's been a year now? Or how long has it been since that official platform?
It's been a year since we added the support of it's been a year since we added the support of legalization. And before that, previous to that, they had added the support for medical marijuana.
So do you think Hillary Clinton was token up when she was in college?
Well, I think she was, and like a whole lot of other people.
Well, why I ask that is because I think behind the veneer of the, please elect me political face, mask, whatever they put on, I think there's a general acceptance behind the scenes of cannabis. I was reading, there's a guy that wrote a book about the White House, and apparently Jimmy Carter's sons were bonging it in the White House, and they were cleaning it up. They knew it was bongs, and it wasn't a scandal. It wasn't on the news. Everybody's just like, whatever. And obviously Jimmy must have known and didn't care. So I think Democrats are cooler than they let on, and they don't want to seem too cool because then the snobby Republicans would be like thinking they're a bunch of hippies. Yeah. That's what I think. So we got Gavin Newsom, right? He's the one, we were talking about the BRC earlier. He's a great politician, career politician, charismatic, handsome, high-functioning. I don't think smokes weed behind the scenes like some of the other politicians. And he seems to be championing some sort of sensible setup for cannabis coming up, right, when we legalize in 2016.
Yes, he is. You want me to tell you what he said during the speech last couple weekends ago at the Democratic convention in
Yes, actually, let's talk about the convention. You were there live in L.A., right?
Yes, I was. I've been a delegate for this is my 7th time I've gone to the California Democratic Convention as a delegate. Well, six as a delegate, and we've made great progress. In the last convention, we had a double wide booth for Brownie Mary Club, which included a marijuana museum, including the different types, methods of delivery.
Pull up those pictures from the Democratic Club, Keith. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we had a bong, and we had a volcano vaporizer. We had a whole bunch of other types of delivery methods and candy and things like that
Did
we
they smoke it? Did anybody smoke?
No, nobody smoked in the booth. We actually had two tiny little, 3-inch tall marijuana plants in the booth as well, which was kind of funny.
Live plants.
Live plants, which was kind of funny because I guess it was the hotel itself wouldn't let us bring in a 2 to 4 foot plant, but they would let us bring in 2 tiny plants, which it's still a marijuana plant. So whether no matter how tall it is, it's still a marijuana plant.
Do they know about flowering and stuff, you think?
And we thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
okay. So you're at this Democratic Club and you have a table, right? A double wide, and everybody's coming up asking you for free samples, huh? Yes.
Everybody says, "Where's the brownies?"
What do you tell them?
Well, we told them to come to the hospitality suite later on Saturday night, and they would give them brownies. But unfortunately, they were non-medicated.
Right. Oh, that's rude.
But we did have hundreds of people at the hospitality suite on Saturday night, including a whole bunch of speakers. We had Lanny Swerdlow, we had Diane Waddles-Goldstein from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. We had Amanda Ryman from Drug Policy Alliance. We had Congressman Barney Frank.
I love Barney Frank.
Yes, and we had
cool.
we had a Dr. Behrman. He's a cannabinologist. We had somebody from we had Hezekiah Allen from Emerald Growers. We just had a whole bunch of people speak, and we had a whole bunch of people along one side who had booths at the hospitality suite for various people to come and talk to them and find out what they are doing in the realm of cannabis legalization and protection for patients' rights. So it was actually a very cool thing.
Now, so you were there for 2 days?
Yeah.
Okay, and well, let's bring it back around. So Gavin Newsom came and addressed the crowd, and what did he say?
He said, "And next, I know this is tough for some. We are going to have a historic opportunity to choose to legalize, tax, and regulate marijuana for responsible adult use in the state of California." So that's what he said, and everybody yelled and clapped and everything. And we've even Kamala Harris. She said that standing up for people means challenging the policy of mass incarceration by recognizing the war on drugs was a failure. And Democrats, on that point, let's be clear also. Now is the time to end the federal ban on medical marijuana. So,
well, it's about time, Kamala.
That's right.
Yes. So that's very cool.
So so let's Kamala Harris. We mentioned Cooley earlier. She defeated by a very, very narrow margin. I don't remember his first name. I just remember it was Cooley. Steve Cooley. And so I think everybody who watches politics closely thinks that Kamala Harris got elected by stoners because the margin was so little, and there was an effort in the cannabis community to get votes out for her. And so after literally it went weeks after the polling to finally, we watched day after day, and finally she became, and then she just kind of turned her back on us and pissed a lot of people off. Hasn't really, I think some people expected her to stand up to the DEA and give them hell or something else. Whatever, I know that the job only has certain limitations. I'm sure she's very, very, very busy. So I'm glad that finally all the way around now as she's looking at it's a Senate seat she's looking at, right?
Mm-hmm. She's running for Barbara Boxer's seat, who is retiring.
Now, Barbara Boxer, cool or uncool?
She's cool. She is.
Think Barbara Boxer's cool?
She's a rock star.
Yeah. Okay, and then it was Feinstein who was uncool and is now trying to be cool, or at least look cool, right?
Well, yeah, you know, she's still going to be the, you know, the skeptical one, but you know, she's coming around, just like a lot of the Democratic politicians are. So it's good to.
Now, are they coming around, or are they recognizing that this could be a wedge issue?
Well, I think actually they're coming around because they realize that it's not only good policy, but it's good politics. They're going to find out
money.
It's a winning issue.
Some of them are seeing the Colorado numbers, and they're getting the little dollar signs on their eyes. Ka-ching. I think that's part of it too. Not that they're greedy, because these are tax dollars, and a lot of our governments are starved for money. And I think, you know, bringing this money into the economy, schools, health care, whatever, I think is I'm for it. I just don't think medical cannabis should be highly taxed like they're doing in the city of Sacramento and some other places around. So, so we covered Kamala Harris, everything else. So the hospitality suite.
Yeah.
Hold on, my headphones messing up. Are you there?
Okay. I'm here.
So the hospitality suite, when they talked about it last year, I was thinking, ooh, you know, like maybe a volcano, and people were bagging it, laughing, but that didn't happen, did it? It was it was a dry event. Your hospitality suite.
It was, well, there was alcohol being served, but alcohol and brownies and ice cream.
Alcohol, much safer, of course.
Of course, yeah, right. But of course, you know, there was always times when we could go outside and partake of our own particular medication.
See, and this kind of points out to me that, and I think this is where a lot of people are like, oh, marijuana is not a civil right. But, you know, if you use marijuana, you can be pushed into a second class. There's a chance, even with legalization, as a marijuana user, you're going to have extreme limitations on when you can drive, where you can smoke. Certain jobs are going to still not hire you and if you smoke. And I think we really just, because we don't live in a society that says, oh, you shouldn't get high. We get high all the time on booze and whatever other garbage they're selling, the pills and everything else. And nobody's worried about that. So they need
What's
to really...
wrong with getting high? That's my question.
Well, and it's not, there isn't. You know what it comes down to is the old, and this is as the generations move on and we move into the millennium. Every generation, I think, has a softer stance on whether life is to be enjoyed or whether life is supposed to be work and nose to the grindstone. I think my dad worked way harder than me, and his dad works way harder than him. And going back, people believe that life wasn't about enjoying it. Life is about working. So now we've moved into this, you know, we have media and go have fun, go to a bar, party, do this, have fun. Why not have a safer alternative to some of these things that we're pushing in our culture? I don't think everybody should be having fun all the time. I work, you know, I don't necessarily do it just for fun. I do it to keep from having pain, which I find to be very fun. Did Don say goodbye? Did Don leave?
He said goodbye.
Oh, bye, Don. I'm sorry.
I
was watching the wrong screen. I didn't see him go off. I want to thank Don Duncan again for coming on. He was awesome. And kind of catching us up on what's going on. And, you know, it looks like we're going to have regulation, people. Looks like. And so we got to get ready for it. We got to be proactive. We got to make sure that the regulation isn't such that's going to destroy medical cannabis or make a model for legal cannabis that really doesn't.
Just one second.
Somebody's making a hand motion to me, and I don't even know what it's supposed to mean. Or making. What was that, Marcia? What were we just talking about exactly? So, okay, now politically wise, so let's talk a little bit about Hillary real quick, Marcia. Are you pro-Hillary, or is Bernie Sanders looking good to you, or where are you?
Well, I've always loved Bernie Sanders. Let me say
too.
that. He is the most progressive, other than Gavin Newsom, who I think is one of the most progressive politicians on the planet. I think Bernie Sanders is also one of the most progressive persons on the planet. And and there's a lot of question whether or not he could win the nomination. But if he doesn't, I think he will drive Hillary to the left on a lot of the policy, so that we'll get somebody closer to Bernie Sanders than we would have if he weren't in the race.
Now, does Bernie Sanders, has he come out in favor of anything like the CARES bill?
Yes, he's supported.
He has a record.
And he has a record of supporting cannabis as well.
Now, Hillary's in a unique position of not having to support it because she's not in politics right now.
Right.
Right. So I wonder, has anybody asked her? We need to ask her. Brownie Mary needs to write a letter to Hillary and ask her what she would vote for.
She still thinks it's funny, I think, but I think she's getting more serious about it.
She does have that giggle mentality. When they asked her about it, when Christian Amanpour asked her about it, she giggled and stammered and pretty much denied ever smoking it. And she what she did was the old lady response, where she was just like, first she pretended she didn't understand the question. She was like, "Oh, I'm going to need somebody in the audience to help answer the question." And then she was like, I don't remember the answer, but it was very non-answer, and the question itself wasn't good. I mean, it was very broad. It was something like, do you like weed? And so it didn't ask her any specific policy questions like, would she how does she feel about the crackdown? How does she feel about DEA head, and what kind of DEA head might she appoint? Or, any other dozen of questions, Department of Justice, because right now we have a rogue Department of Justice, right? We have Obama telling, I guess it was Holder, but now Lynch, to, stop. They have this 7-point thing, blah blah blah. They're supposed to be stopping these prosecutions, but they're just moving forward. And there's like a budget, or they wrote out DEA money in the budget, but somehow there seems to be still moving forward. So it reminds me of something like out of Game of Thrones, where like the king can't control the guard or something. We'll see how that progresses.
Yeah. Well, I think she's going to move towards the issue. I think she is, because she's, like I said, she's going to realize that it's a winning issue.
I agree. And with the law being rewritten in D.C., she could even toke up legally in D.C. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great. She can, but the federal employees in D.C. can't.
Oh, right. See,
federally.
The laws are very schizophrenic. And you know what? It's almost worse because, there's this impression of legality, and people move forward and they in their lives, and suddenly they find out, oh wait, no, I'm outside the law, and their kids are getting taken away, their property's being seized, or whatever. So it's been it's been a long, hard journey for people, and I think as we progress, we're going to be old, and people are going to be like, they did what? They used to why they? How on earth would they have even stopped? It's a plant. How did they stop people? We're like, oh, they're helicopters and G.I. Joe. And people, it'll just seem so counterintuitive, like hating gay people or racism. I think as each generation goes forward. So we're running out of time, and I told Craig I would give him a ring. Let's see if we can get him on the phone. If you're not familiar, we have the safe, compassionate. I don't want to guess here. Hold on a second. Craig from the Compassionate and Sensible Access Act had agreed to come on via phone communications. So I'm going to see if I can get him on the phone. We are going to go a little bit past 5:20 if that doesn't be too bad. And I'm sorry, people keep making hand motions at me like I'm supposed to know what they want. When I'm trying to call somebody on the phone and do all this other stuff, and now I totally forgot. What? Just say it.
What were we just talking about?
Yeah, what were we just talking about? I don't want to use the fun format as an excuse to be incompetent. We can behave like a professional thing.
Is it connected to that?
No, I'm going to put it on speaker on my phone. But meanwhile, while I'm going to text him and I'm going to see if he's available. We're going to do the Paranoia Place, right? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
As you may know, WiseKraft also has his own fear porn propaganda podcast, and he deals with all things paranoid. And so when we're smoking our sativa and going ruminating over the day and worrying about the wrong thing we said to our boss, and then we don't worry about it, and we're starting to chill, and we want something to be paranoid about, something abstract, something huge, something way beyond our purview to fix. What should we be worried about these weeks? I know that this week we're supposed to worry about the volcano. I mean the volcano. The earthquake. The earthquake was supposed to be yesterday, and I wore my helmet and I wore real shoes instead of my Crocs. Because I thought, just in case, who wants to be running through rubble in Crocs? That does not work. I had a bug-out bag. It was just a bag of weed and a box of Cookie Crisp, but it would have got me through the night. So what's coming up next?
Well, that just goes to show how the hype of Facebook can actually sway people to do things.
I was doing it ironically. I did not believe there was an earthquake.
You weren't the only one. I went out there in the world and I asked people. I was like, "So where's the volcano?" Got me saying volcano. I'm like, "So where's the earthquake?" Earthquake? I was messing with people because it's they're expecting one at 4:00. Everybody was. So I'm like, "This is crazy," but. That's not how I work. I like to go with research, and there was no research on that.
What's next? What's the chatter? What are people worried about?
Jade Helm 15, which I've been telling you about a lot outside of this.
Go on.
So, Jade Helm 15, RCRT JH15 is what it's referred to as in the military. It's a realistic military training. Kind of like a drill, basically.
You're not coming through very strong.
I'm hearing him fine.
Okay.
No, she says she hears me fine, so I don't need to bring that closer. It's a dissidence extraction exercise, and just so you know, these are my notes. Conducted on American soil without the public's knowledge. Aside from essentially where they go, they do city council meetings. So there's a predictive programming of 1998, The Siege, I came across with my research, that actually shows this kind of thing playing out. It had Denzel Washington and
this is the drills, right? Where they're going to try to militarize our police or something?
Yeah, basically.
Do you think Obama used
not
HARP
our police necessarily, but
Texas?
The police are going to help them.
Do you think Obama used HARP on Texas?
They're going to carry out their missions. They're going to need the police help and also civilians help, but only civilians in private land.
Do you think Obama did used HARP on Texas?
Me personally, my own,
yeah.
I don't know if Obama necessarily has that.
Doesn't he have the remote to HARP?
He may not really care about that specific element. There could be other people caring about that. There's the scientists that are just doing that, and then DARPA that's funding
Maybe
the
he's
scientists.
friends with Storm from the X-Men.
In a way, you could be saying yes because he basically gets DARPA to do whatever it does, but DARPA asks him first. So it's more like DARPA goes, "Can I do this?" And then he goes, "Yeah, you can go ahead and do that."
What's DARPA?
Defense. I can find it. It's a national defense, basically, associated with the military. It's a acronym.
So this is happening in July, this Jade Helm madness?
Yeah, it's supposed to kick off on July 15th and then end in September 15th. During the martial law, the construction is suspended. And and it's happened before in 1862 with President Lincoln. He suspended habeas corpus, so it's not like it's something that hasn't happened before. And things that have happened before can happen again, called history repeating itself. Presentation to Tom Green County was in San Angelo, Texas in March 10th, 2015. And that's when they went in and they actually went into Texas and said, hey, we're going to do this. And the people were like, okay, we have questions about it, you know, and then there was like a question thing. And they had a follow-up.
What about
these are the states that were supposedly
Margaret
involved.
Barrett? She's the singer from Hakate's Riddle, who was our opening music. She wanted to know about what about Monsanto?
Monsanto.
Is they going to bring about the apocalypse or what?
My understanding of Monsanto is they are
basically
a seeding company. They're like a seeding company that were formerly a chemical company that were formerly a weapons manufacturing company.
Okay.
So when you put that together, you start seeing a bigger picture. You start seeing the New World Order being connected. And then you see who's funding Monsanto, and it's Bill Gates. And you see the connection to Agenda 21 being involved with that.
Janivis is asleep. Our show, your segment's so boring, Janivis fell asleep.
I can't hear anything.
I can barely hear him too. Are you sure he's coming through good, Marcia?
You're not going to hear me on here.
Just fine.
She can hear just fine.
Okay.
Oh well.
All right. Well, we're going to move along. Craig's not.
Well, I wanted to get into the states, so at least like some of the information gets out there.
Let me call Craig real quick. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives coming up.
You have reached the voicemail box of 90.
Okay, he's not around. I told him between 4:20 and 5:20, but he's a very, very busy man. But it's basically being billed as the Bill of Rights for Cannabis Patients, and it is called the Compassionate and Sensible Access Act. They have a website. I posted it on our Facebook, which is facebook.com/www.jta, and there's going to be signatures being gathered for this, and this is if you get a chance, go to their website. I'm trying to find their website. I just had it up here a minute ago. And read up. Here it is. The website is compassionateandsensibleaccess.org. And basically, legalization. I'm going to read. Well, I'm not going to read from the website. You can read it yourself. But basically, they're going to be coming through, trying to gather signatures. We're going to be seeing a big debate on this. MCLR is the other one that's already filed. And MCLR, can you pull up the MCLR with the website and everything? That's MCLR.us, if memory serves. I'll check that link real quick. And that is the Marijuana Control, Legalization, and Revenue Act. And next week, we're going to have a big discussion with John Lee. I talked to him this morning, and he said he's available next week. So he's going to come on. Maybe he'll be. I got to talk to his tech. He may be able to actually come on via Google Plus, Google Hangouts, or he may be coming on via phone. So MCLR is also going to be gathering signatures. Now, CalNormal and others are bringing forth a bill. An initiative also that's going to wait until closer to the last of the filing. Marcia, you know a little more about that than me. Can you tell everybody about that real quick?
Sure.
We know.
Reform California is a coalition of a bunch of other organizations. I think Drug Policy Alliance, California Normal. There's a bunch of people that are getting together to write an initiative and what they're planning on doing is waiting until the end of the summer so that they know what legislation is being done as far as medical marijuana. And then they also will have the findings from the Blue Ribbon Commission by the end of June so that they can actually implement and put all of those things into the initiative. So that looks like it may be the one that people can get behind, because they're going to try to take the good parts of all of the ones that are out there and follow the other guidelines from the Blue Ribbon Commission. So what they're planning on doing is if there's a problem with some of the stuff that gets passed by the legislature, they're going to try to fix it with the initiative.
And there's a good chance, I don't know, a good chance, but there's a chance that down the road, as this process continues, that the initiatives may meld, they maybe even be commanded to merge. I know that's happening in the legislature with those bills, and I believe I've heard that sometimes the Secretary of State asks bills to merge. I don't quote me on that, but I could have swore somebody had said that that's a possibility. So whatever happens, I like the language. Like I heard from somebody at MCLR and at other places, like for this new initiative that could come out. That's CCPR. Is that initiative?
Yeah, they are also behind Reform California, CCPR.
And whatever makes the ballot, we will support. Is what the language, and that's good. We need a united front. We need to get it together. Divided we fall, and united we stand. So
we fell on Prop 19 in 2010.
And then there's going to be CCHI. Have they officially filed yet? There's a lot of Facebook talk, but I haven't seen an article where they filed. Have they filed already? Have you heard?
I think they filed. I think they were the first ones to file, actually, but I'm not sure. I don't quote me. But there's actually five initiatives, I believe, that are already been filed.
Okay.
Ron? Did I lose you?
Keith, I'm not broadcasting. Can you hear me? Can you not hear me?
No,
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
And I got the name of the gentleman that I should talk to, so I'm going to try to get him to come on and talk about CCHI. And we're going to talk about everything here, and we're going to try to have civil discussions and educational discussions. And we're going to get weed legal, damn it. I just cannot believe, Washington State beat us.
I know. That's ashamed as a Californian.
So I want to close out. Shout out to Brownie Mary. When's your next meeting for Brownie Mary?
The first Thursday of July 2nd at 6:30 at the Perco's 3rd and J in Sacramento.
Are we going to have any guests at this next one that you know of?
Our guest speaker will be Granddaddy Mike.
Granddaddy Mike Grafton, the one and only. Awesome. And then June 10th is the Sacramento Normal meeting.
That's my birthday.
That'll also be at Perco's Restaurant at 3rd and J, 925 3rd Street. Google it. That's Perco's Restaurant. No purchase required to actually attend the meeting. And their guest is going to be Dr. Jonathan Cachet. He's does a presentation on drugs in the brain. And we'll have a few other people coming down. I do believe John Lee said he's going to try to send somebody too. So different initiatives will be coming in. And then in Sac Normal, it's a great group. It's growing. They got a newsletter. They've got a website, sacnormal.org. And I work and help run Sac Normal. And hopefully that's a resource people can use in order to keep themselves out of trouble, keep themselves informed, and all that wonderful stuff. I want to give a shout out to Human Solutions. That they do court support. Joe Grumbine online. I don't know who to refer you guys to, so it's just a kind of a generic shout out. But hit us up. I can forward you if you ever need court support. I know Tom Corby on Facebook, Joe Grumbine, Sue Colombe. That's SIOUX Colombe, COLMBE. They're all people that work with Human Solution and can help you get court support and information and education on court. And then I guess next week we're going to try and get we're going to have John Lee on, and we're going to be talking about some of the initiatives. And I've got an open-ended topic next week. In our first show in June, which I guess is next week, our second show in June, which is Gay Pride Month, we're going to try to get Dennis Perrone to come on, who is a LGBT activist and the author of Prop 215. And we're going to be talking about the history of the gay movement and the LGBT movement and marijuana and the parallels. I've talked at length about whether life is about feeling good or working hard. And I think a lot of times the working hard argument is used against gays, that you need to just, life is about being enjoyment. You should have a wife and get married and have kids. And now we live in an age where that's not necessary. We don't need to propagate the species. And we were able to enjoy life. And it's the same with marijuana. These same people that don't think people should enjoy life and should buckle down and marry the opposite sex, these are the same people that think you need to buckle down and have a stiff martini on Friday night and work hard all week and don't touch weed. And it's just not what we need. So I guess we're going to close out with some Real One. I got permission from Heidi. She didn't make it. I want to give a shout out to Heidi. I don't know can you tell if Heidi's listening? She was too sick to come on. But Heidi Grossman, who was on our first show, was going to come on today, and she couldn't. But she did ask, or I asked her if we could play a Real One song. So we're going to close out with a Real One song. God, it just says track on here. Where does the case? So we're going to close out with the song "Come Fly With Me" featuring Honey Bee with Real One from Real One's album Flight 420. You can go to www.real1, that's the word real, R-E-A-L, the word one, O-N-E, 209er.com. That's real1209.com. And why is this not playing? There we go. Wrong screen. So we're going to close out with some Real One.
Double in my hand and I'm putting in work. We nerd, calling sword, holding together. In the backyard with the mountain gorilla. Gangster, fill another, what you think? Miss Jill's got tips on rolling the dance. She's great, Aldo, Indo funky. Time red cat laced in my blunt seat. Skunky, smelly, stay strong, sticky. Stepped in the dough, got the whole team with me. Iggy Pop, my city's hot. Ukiah, California, got the green on lock. Sitting in my weed crop, blowing some herb. Dope boy, old weed, yeah, I'm a weed nerd. I'm a weed nerd. This call me smoke a lot, don't give me that, me no want that crap. Now we no study that. Weed nerd, nothing but the highway. So won't you come my way? So won't you come my way? Weed nerd. This call me smoke a lot, don't give me that, me no want that crap. Now we no study that. Weed nerd, nothing but the highway. Smoke a lot of herb, smoke a lot of herb. Listen to the lyrics, yo, I'ma let you know. I've been a weed nerd since the first episode. It's a growing game, rooted